I just want to say happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day. Here we are, Labor Day. It just seems so bizarre to me that on the day that we celebrate work, no one goes. Oh, Labor Day. It's a creation. It's actually of the labor movement that back from the early 19th century. I think it was a federal holiday back in 1894 is when they made it a federal holiday. And it's dedicated to the social and economic achievements of the American workers. It's a real celebration of the working spirit that we have. And it constitutes a yearly national tribute to the contributions that the workers have made to their strength, their prosperity, and just the well-being of our country. I think it's a good thing. So on this day that we celebrate all of the workers, we're just going to take off. Oh, but I'm so glad to be with you. I appreciate you taking just a couple of moments to join me. Hello, Laurel. How are you doing? Hi, Wesley. Thank you for joining me. Jim, how are you? So good to see you. Appreciate you guys taking just a couple of moments on this wonderful holiday to share a couple of moments with me. Hi, Alice. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you taking a few moments with me. So good to see you today. I trust all is well. I hope you guys have had a really fruitful day today. I'm thinking. I'm trying to think of what the best way is to take advantage of this Labor Day situation. Just the topic of it, the subject of Labor Day and what it means. And I cannot help but think about all that needs to be done around us. I appreciate those in our country who had the spirit and the mind to work. I think that's a very good trait. You hear people talk about it, something like a work ethic, and you think, well, that's something that everybody needs. But I've just determined that not everybody has that. The work ethic is something that's part of who you are. It's something that you have really stitched into the fabric of who you are as a person. When you see work that needs to be done, you get in and work. You don't cut it short. You don't leave 15 minutes early. You don't get there 30 minutes late. You've got a work ethic. There's something powerful about that. And truly, that makes the difference in the success or failure of a lot of people. It just is. I mean, that's just the way that life is set up. Life is designed to submit to those who subdue it. Those who yield to it, it topples them over. It's kind of bizarre. People work all their life long and they think, well, I'm just going to get to the end of my days and thank God I'm going to quit working and I'm going to go to the lake. Have you ever noticed and you ought to look it up sometime, how many times that you see people who work consistently on a job, work in a career, they retire and don't do anything. And it's not but a very short time until they die, until it's over. It's almost like it's a signal to them on the inside that said, you don't have anything else to do, so you have no more value. So it's time for you to check out and to go on. Now, that might seem a little bizarre to you, but look at the stats. I mean, look at how many people, and I'm not just talking about because someone retired. I'm talking about somebody that has lived a very long time. They went to work literally every day, but when they retired, when they quit, when they supposedly moved to the lake or whatever it is, which I think that's a wonderful thing, but in about 30 minutes, it's got to be boring. I'm just telling you something. You were not designed for it. You weren't designed. I mean, you need a Sabbath. You need a vacation. You certainly need some time that you can go and just be off to yourself. You need those things. But you're not designed to just quit. You're not designed to stop working. You are a worker ant. And those that aren't, well, you know what? If you don't want to work, maybe you need to go home. I mean, that's just kind of the stats, isn't it? I mean, it just seems like people that don't want to work anymore, that they just kind of drift off, and it's not long until their body begins to break down, everything around them begins to break down. I'm not saying you got to work on the same job all your life, but you should never retire. I was listening to, I was reading a book many years ago. His name was Paul Yonggi Cho. He was the pastor of the largest church in the world at that time in Korea. And Cho was, it's just incredible. He's the one that kind of birthed the care group movements, cell groups, that type of thing, because they had so many people in their church. There was no way they could get them into a building. And so they had cell groups. Well, anyway, Cho was very successful, and he did an interview with a neurosurgeon one time. And it's in a book called The Fourth Dimension. I would strongly suggest, this is quite old, but I would strongly suggest that you go on the internet and see if you can find that, The Fourth Dimension by Paul Yonggi Cho. There's an interview that I'm very interested in, and it was an interview with a neurosurgeon. And the neurosurgeon made a statement. Now, this is a guy that did a study at that particular time on the brain, how it works, how it functions. And he was talking about retirement, and he made a statement. He said, a person should never retire. Now, again, that doesn't mean that you have to work on that job, but you should never stop dreaming. You should never stop reaching. You should never stop doing, because he said once a person retires, now this is the neurosurgeon, he said once a person retires, his body is saying to him, or his mind is saying to him, you are now a part of an incapable or completed life cycle body, and therefore you need to shut down. And the surgeon basically said that's what happens. The body begins to shut down. It's like it's told to do. You get these subliminal messages, you're done. You're over. You don't have any more to do. You've done all you can do. Your job is over. Your task is over. Therefore, you need to begin to be prepared to be part of a less active lifestyle and a life that doesn't produce anything and should come to an end closely soon, because your life pretty much is over. Now, that's what the neurosurgeon said. Now, that's just a rough. It's been many years since I've read it, but it is something that I truly would strongly suggest that you do, because this is a problem with a lot of people. They stop dreaming. You were designed. You were created in the image of God. God is creative in every sense. So are you. And you should never stop being creative in your life. You should never stop dreaming. You should never stop doing. The labor movement, when they started Labor Day back in 1894, certainly it's an acknowledgement of the laborers, and we take a day off. But I'm telling you, labor should be a part of your life. I'm thinking of a scripture using that word. We labor to enter into his rest. Now, isn't that interesting? We actually have to labor to enter into his rest. Well, how do you do that? Well, you cast down imaginations, every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. You bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. It's work. I'm going to tell you something. Every square inch that you take toward the kingdom of God, you have to fight for. You're not going to get it laying around on the beach with your feet propped up. You're going to have to, on purpose, take the word of God and apply it to your life and go to work with it. That's just the nature of life. And if you don't understand that, I'm just telling you, it won't be long until you come to the place that your body quits. I'll tell you what, over the last few weeks, I've been thinking about, I need to get some type of an exercise routine. I have found my strength diminishing, which is a horrible thing to even say, much less actually think that it might be true. But I caught myself so busy in doing non-physical, non-active duties, because I've been doing a lot of research, I've been doing a lot of studies, spending a lot of time on the internet, and it got to the place to where, I get up and I walk just a little ways, and I'm so blooming winded that I can't see straight. And I just realized, Edmon, you're going to have to pull yourself together and you're going to start doing something. I know the Bible says that bodily exercise profiteth little, but let me just tell you something. We need the little that it provides. And if you don't use it, you will lose it. That's just an across-the-board statement. It truly is. Whether it be a skill, whether it be an ability, whether it be a talent, or whether it be your physical health, your mental health. I see people as they get older, they talk about, well, I want to work crossword puzzles. I want to do things that keeps my mind active. Now, why would that be important? Well, the reason is because what you don't use will begin to diminish. And in your life, if you think for one moment that you're going to be able to skate through and not work, your life will diminish more and more. It may happen incrementally, just a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit over there. But it begins to diminish here, just a little diminish. It just begins to diminish. Your life, if you don't use it, will begin to diminish. And I just want to just encourage you for, in my getting with you today to certainly wish you a happy Labor Day. I want to encourage you to say, this is a time for you to get your to-do list. This is a time for you to get your bucket list. This is a time for you to determine, this is what I'm going to do. I encourage you to have a 1-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 20-year plan. If you have the courage, do a 50-year plan. Well, what I write down? Well, I don't know. I'd write something down. There's got to be something that has value worth writing down. But what it does is it keeps you reaching beyond where you are. And that engages something in your psyche. It engages something in your mind and your will and your emotions. And that's the power of who you are, is engaged when it has something to do. It's ignited when it has something to do. But I'm just telling you right now, if all you're doing is sitting around watching movies, and you will not find anyone who loves movies more than I do. I love going to the theater. I love a good movie. I love sometimes just to sit home. I've never really had the courage to just veg over a series and not get up until I went through it. I don't know that I could stand to do that. But occasionally we do need to do that. But make no mistake about it, if that is your life, then you are diminishing. You are diminishing. You'll diminish in your mind. You'll diminish in your emotions. Physically, you will diminish. And that's where I see the biggest thing in myself, is the fact that I've found myself being physically challenged because I haven't been doing enough. You may not be able to go to the gym, but you need to get out and do something. You need to do something that stretches your muscles. You need to do something that is strength building. You need to do something that keeps you going beyond where you are. You need to labor. You need to labor. That's not a bad thing. To labor is a good thing. Somewhere we have it in our mind in this generation that it's a bad thing to labor. So everything I'm going to try to do is to figure a way to get out of that. And that is the very thing that keeps us going, keeps us creative, keeps us reaching, keeps us stretching our muscles, keeps us expanding our diaphragm, breathing, running, moving, stretching, carrying something. You need labor in your life. Labor is not a bad thing. Labor is necessary. And I promise you, again, let me say it if I can, if you don't have it, if you are not doing something right now, your life is diminishing before your eyes. And it won't be long until you can't pull it out of the hole that it gets into. Now that's just something that you need to realize. When they were celebrating back in 1894, they were celebrating this federal holiday of Labor Day. That was to celebrate the I'm sorry, I just got an interruption. Scott just sent me a thing, said golf. Yes, golf is labor. Absolutely. Well, but the thing is that when they were celebrating the Labor Day back in 1894, they were celebrating the contributions that workers have made, of their strength, of their prosperity, to bring the well-being of those individuals into this nation, to make it part of it. So you need to do that. You need to understand that labor is a beautiful thing. Back in World War II, we have what is called the greatest generation. Now, the reason why that they called it the greatest generation was because it was a group of people, when America came under attack, that went to work and just sacrificed. It was like they were working for a belief. They were working for a dream, for their home, even if they felt like they were working and not getting back what they wanted. They wanted to work, and that as a result they were considered the greatest generation. But here's the problem that they made. This was, in my opinion, this was the cycle that has brought us to where we are right now. The biggest mistake that they made in that time was they said, I'm going to do all of this because my children is not going to have to go through what I went through. And as a result, they produced an inferior generation. And so that generation came up. What are they doing? Well, they're laying up for their kids so their kids don't have to go out and work hard. And as a result, they produced another lazy, worthless generation. And we're seeing people nowadays that don't want to work. You can't get them to show up. I've talked to so many employers, and they're saying they can't get people to show up consistently for 3 days. They said they can't find workers because they don't have a work ethic. They've never been trained to do it. And somewhere that cycle has to be broken. I hope it doesn't have to be broken by the tragedy of economic collapse to where they go hungry. Let me just tell you something. Being hungry will make you get out and do something. I'm telling you, you'll brave the storm if you're hungry. And that's the truth. And maybe that's the problem. People haven't been hungry enough that they're willing to work. I want to encourage you to do something today. I want to encourage you on this Labor Day to make the decision to be better. I don't even know how I can say this. To be better from the standpoint of your labor. Okay? I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better for my job. I'm going to take labor as a value rather than something that I just have to do. Well, the reason people feel like they're having to do it mostly, and I'm just telling you, most of the time, if you want to cut past it, I've been in this thing a long time. I've watched a lot of people. People don't want to labor because they're lazy. They are lazy. They do not want to put forth any effort for anything. As a matter of fact, I want you to give me what I want without me doing anything. And that's the truth. We'll stand there and we will almost complain and gripe and fall on the floor if we have to put forth any effort for anything. As a matter of fact, we almost won't even go that direction. And it's a shame. I'm just telling you. We're a generation of I want it now and I want it for nothing. I mean, it's kind of like we stand in front of the microwave and yell, hurry, and you're thinking you don't have any concept of the way things are done. It's a spoiled generation that is almost worthless. And let me just tell you something. There's going to be, as a result, many people in this generation that will die in absolute poverty. They will die almost, and well, let me just say it. They're going to die almost as worthless human beings, that they wasted all of the life of their stewardship by doing nothing or looking for a way to get out of it. The fact is they don't get into the thing. This is something I've tried to teach my kids. I wanted to say to all of them, because problems hit, and I tell them to say, we are problem solvers. This is the bottom line. This is who we are as a family. We don't run from problems. We can't prevent them from staying away. from coming our direction. We can't make them always stay away. Sometimes problems show up. But we, in this house, we are problem solvers, and we can fix it. We can handle this. We don't run from difficulties. We don't run from challenges. I'm not saying we always have the answer, and I'm not saying we always have it perfect, but we don't run from challenges. We are problem solvers. And that is not a value that most people in this world hold. Most people, if you give them any problem whatsoever, any inconvenience whatsoever, they'll just quit. I was looking for a job when I found this one. I don't have to put up with that. I don't have to put up with that over there. I'm offended over this. There's so many people that are offended, and I just want to say, you are simply and completely worthless in this life. You have no value whatsoever. You have completely squandered the beautiful, wonderful stewardship, the abilities, the grace, the talents that God birthed in you, and you squandered it sitting there watching television all day and mad because somebody's not doing your job for you. I want somebody to feed me. I want somebody to clothe me. I want somebody to burp me. And they've been doing that their entire lifetime, and they're worthless. They are. And it's a shame that a generation like that has to almost die off. And they are. They're dying from lack of nutrition. They're dying from lack of movement. They're dying from lack of involvement. They're dying. I'm just telling you, it's a horrible thing. It's heartbreaking to see what's taking place around us. And so the idea of labor is not a bad thing. The idea of labor is what we do. We labor. And when you come to the place that you're not laboring anymore, you're not doing anything. You're not. You're not helping anybody. You're not serving anybody. You're not making anything. You're not building anything. You're not creating anything. You're just sucking up air. When you stop laboring, you stop being beneficial. Do you understand that? And I'm being harsh. I guess I'm talking to you the way I would talk to my son. I would say would be completely worthless if you don't labor. If you don't work, if you don't have something you do, you're not going to spend the rest of your life around here doing nothing. You're going to do something. You will do something, because labor is what brings value to who we are. It's not the lack of labor. You might say, well, I would like to have it where I don't have to work like that. Well, that's fine. You don't have to work. You can work smart, or you can work with your back. But the fact is, you have to do something. You have to do something. So in every situation that you face, you're going to have to come to the place that you that you make the decision to that you make the decision that I'm going to labor and I'm going to do something. Okay, I encourage you to find somebody you can help today. Find someone that's in need. Go to church. Ask what you can do. A church is such a wonderful place because a church is so connected to the community in so many ways. People from every aspect of the community is there, and it gives you a wonderful opportunity to build and cultivate relationships that you can grow and develop something. It's very important that you do that, and Find some things in your community that you can involve yourself with. There's got to be some civic things that you can help involve yourself in. But do something. Make the habit to labor. As a matter of fact, I will help you. Those of you, if you need help, I will set up some things that can help you in the area of planning. And I'm talking about planning for goals, a yearly goal, what I want to do by next year. What's a 5-year goal? What's a 10-year goal? You know, I would like to see you build it until you're over 100. I'd like for your goals to reach past that. It's so important. I'm just telling you. And the labor is an aspect of that is literally life-giving to you. So in this day, obviously, everything closes down. People quit working. as we celebrate labor. But tomorrow breaks over and it's time to go to work. So why don't you just consider that and let's find something to start a garden. Do something. Do something. Dear Lord in heaven. And let's see something wonderful happen because I want you to live a long and prosperous life. That's very important to me. I love you guys. Thank you for joining with me. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you for joining with me on this Labor Day. Peggy, I so much appreciate you being a part of this. All of you guys that have tuned in, thank you for doing that. That's very, very important, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow. And we're going to get into some things. This week, I feel like I need to talk a little bit about faith and patience because there's a lot of people that are struggling with things, and they're struggling with because their faith isn't working like they feel like it needs to. And so throughout this week, I think it's very important that I show you some of the principles of how that works and how you can make it work for you. All right? Kathy, thank you so much. I so appreciate you. And all of you guys, I want you to have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And think of me because I'm your friend. Thank you for being my friend. And I'm going to ask you to please push like, please push share. Those of you that will go to my YouTube channel, and you can push subscribe, and that would be very meaningful to me. All right. It's a great day today. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Good night.